Coming to you live from Darshan Studios, it's Zinc Comics Exposition with your host, Brian Payne. That's me. Tonight, we proudly present a brief moment of Payne's Black history.
Gene Toomer, writer, teacher, traveler, and philosopher. He helped define the Harlem Renaissance with the publication of his first book, Cain, in 1923. A student of Gurdjieff, Toomer taught this Eastern philosophy in Harlem, New Mexico, and Pennsylvania. Toomer devoted his life to the quest for spiritual and intellectual development that transcends racial labels and limitations.
Welcome to tonight's program. I'm joined by the vibrant velvet voice of my lovely wife, Skywalker. Good evening, Sky.
Good evening, Brian.
Welcome to the show. And it's a special day today. What is today?
Today is Losar, which is Tibetan for New Year. And we observe Losar instead of Chinese New Year, even though they're quite often pretty much the same. Sometimes there's a little difference in the days. It actually can be as much as a week or two, but today they're pretty much coinciding. And the reason we practice it is because I practice Tibetan Buddhism. And it's a lunar New Year. And I was just watching a video about the lunar celebrations. And they have a lot in common, even though there's a little differences in each country. But this year is the year of the ox. And the ox represents hard work, duty, and discipline. And they said the theme of this year is to build, 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 to follow up on whatever projects that began last year, to stick to routines and shy away from wild new ideas and methods. As we practice Losar, and the tradition of Buddhism that I practice is the Nyingma tradition. We were told, and for most of these practices revolve around making sure that your New Year starts off in a good manner, with good luck, with good thoughts, with happiness and agreement and peace. And so you wear something new. It can be anything, including underwear. But the belief is that if you don't have anything new, the gods of wealth will pass you by and your year will be close to poverty. You're supposed to be harmonious for the first 3 days, no fighting, no disharmony, no arguments, to set a peaceful tone for the year. And I've seen that mentioned in the general, even Chinese New Year. It's to be peaceful, and Chinese celebrate up to a week long. On this first day, you're not to buy anything. Don't do any money transactions because money will slip from you all year. And you're not supposed to do any major cleaning or cooking. And I think that's coming more from the Tibetan tradition because their lives were hard. Cooking and cleaning was a lot of effort and work. And if they weren't told to rest, they probably wouldn't have rested. But what people would do is you have house cleaning day, which was yesterday, the day before New Year's, before Losar. And it's also the time that you can cook big pots of food to serve on Losar. So those are the main non-religious practices associated with Losar. And the year of the iron ox, the iron is one of the 5 elements, and it refers to keeping environment clean, pristine, and shiny like metal. And one way to do this is to clean your home, reduce clutter, maintain tidiness all year long. And that way you get the element of the metal element. And it also, interestingly, rules the lungs, which is a good thing for this year.
And what is the traditional greeting for
Oh,
New Year?
in Tibetan, it's Tashi Dalek.
Okay, so
Tashi Dalek.
Tashi Delek, everyone. I'm sitting here in a new pair of jeans and my pockets are empty, so I'm celebrating Losar as we have every year. And since you became a Buddhist, talk about when did you become a Buddhist?
We were living in Denver, Colorado, and I don't remember the exact year. It was in the late 1990s. But I had been studying Buddhism for a few years. I actually had picked up and saved a clipping of the Dalai Lama that I had found in a newspaper in my 20s, and it just had appealed to me. And I read the books by the Dalai Lama, and they were always confusing. But I had also read about Padmasambhava, who brought Buddhism to Tibet. And when one day I was at a store in Denver and saw a flyer that said Padmasambhava Empowerment, and I didn't know what an empowerment was, but I did recognize Padmasambhava, and it was only $50, which was really affordable for Buddhist teachings that I'd seen advertised. And that's when I met my teacher, Shepwan Dawo Rinpoche, and he spoke perfect English. Everything he said made sense to me. And I attended the empowerment. Then he kept giving more and more teachings, and I just kept going to them. And he offered to do refuge. And refuge is when you make a commitment to practice Buddhism. And when we took refuge, he said, you're not entering a religion, you're entering a way of life. And that's what I like about Buddhism, because it's a practice, it's a spiritual practice that doesn't depend on going to a building every month. It depends on you doing the practices, testing the teachings, see if they work for you, see if they can make you a better person, a kinder person, and recognize your anger and bad habits. And that's what it's done for me.
What was the thing that I attended with you with your teacher?
It was actually, it was one of the few times it wasn't so much a spiritual training. It was actually open for people to meet my teacher. It was a teaching, but it wasn't so much a spiritual practice teaching. It was a general Buddhist teaching, and it was designed to introduce him to our family members.
Okay. And we were married in the temple there. What was it called again? Do you recall?
It was called Oryon Sho Zod. OCD was the temple.
Okay.
Well, actually, that's the main name of the temple. That was Oryon. It was actually, it had an OCD is actually the name of the whole organization. And we
Okay.
actually but we're part of OCD. We became
And
OCD.
it's a sangha, right? Am I
Yes.
pronouncing? What
Yes.
is a sangha?
A sangha is a group of Buddhist practitioners. It
Okay.
used to be just those who had taken vows, but now it really includes all practitioners.
And Gretchen married us. She wasn't a lama at that time, but she is now. Am I right about that?
Yes, she's now a lama. She's actually on a 3-year retreat in
Okay.
California.
Well, next week we will start reading Buddha by Tezuka, the 8-volume manga series, and I will be asking my wife to read along with me and to lean heavy into the Buddhist aspect of the book. So I'll be coming at it from a comic nerd, and she'll be coming at it from a practicing Buddhist. And so that's something to look forward to next week. Now, we're going to be moving on here. And let's see here. Now, we'd like to welcome to the program a friend of ours, the Cosmic Lion himself, Eli Schwab. Welcome to the show, Eli. Just reading a little
there we
important
are.
news, I see.
Exactly. How you doing?
Real good, real good. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you could make it. Let me just get you up here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, now we're talking.
Right.
Okay, we got you and I have been Facebook friends for a brief time, and I mainly know you from the kayfabe group. Cartoonist Kayfabe is another podcast. Check it out. And you run the group, but you also do a monthly drawing session that is where you put out a zine each week and everybody draws a page per week. It's called the Ringside Thology, but it's a continuation of something you used to do, correct? Another thology. Could you expound upon that and tell us a little about the history of thology?
Totally. It's been great to meet you, Brian, and I really enjoyed drawing with you when you were coming, and I can't wait till you join us again. It's the Ringside Thology. We do it every month, the first Saturday of every month. And it's a continuation of what used to go down at Meltdown Comics here in Los Angeles. When I first moved here, I mean, I've been making comics my whole life, basically. And so when I heard that every month at Meltdown Comics, you just come and you hang out with a bunch of people and draw a page, and it's collected every month. You pay $5 and then they print it, and then the next month you come, you get last month's zine, and then So I was just, as soon as the kayfabe group started and it started happening, I was like, we got to do this again. There's so many amazingly talented people in here. It's like, we got to keep this going. And so it just happened. And I encourage everyone to print it every month as well. And I've printed almost every month. I've got them over there in my zine stack.
The history of the zine really was what appealed to me. The fact that it was a long tradition and you had done it before. And I liked the idea of making something in print. I've been producing these 8-page one sheet mini comics online and making them as downloadable and wanting people to download and make them at home. So I like that aspect of using the internet in an analog way. So I really thought that was great that you do that. And it was fun drawing with you guys. And it's really getting better by leaps and bounds. You guys just did a heavy metal issue that really knocked my socks off. So now you also, as the screen share shows, you put out a comic called Monkey Lion, right? Monkey Lion. And your comic, that's the comic, and your brand is Cosmic Lion, which embraces a lot more than just the comics. First off, can you tell us a little about Monkey Lion?
Totally. I've always loved music and I've always loved comics. And so when I thought about what I wanted to make my comic about, it was like it had to be that. And it was a long time ago when I did the first drawings of Monkey Lion. I was living in Burlington, Vermont at the time. And I think it was probably maybe 2004, 2005 area, just sketching. And I thought of this here on the left is the rhythm drive, which is the central kind of invention of Lion. It's two characters, Lion and Monkey. They're like adoptive brothers. And it just so happened that they're my favorite two animals. And if you push them together, my name's in the middle. It's kind of a little bit lame, but it's there, and I thought it was a good idea. And so it's basically like Keith Emerson's Monster Moog crossed with the warp drive from the Star Trek Starship Enterprise, and you know, that's the central thing in the book. My first issue that I made actually is the last show, so it was like it took place like at the end of kind of their career, and then I went back, and these two, the Do What You Like collection, is a 3-part thing that kind of is back in their heyday, where they travel to the free roaming festival asteroid of Terra Alta. It's kind of this like domed festival world that floats in space, and I've yet to complete the 3rd issue, which I have written and about 10 pages penciled. But you know, life kind of gets in the
Yeah.
way sometimes.
Believe me, I know about that. And so basically, Monkey Lion is like the prog rock version of the White Stripes. They got a synth player and a drummer, correct? It's a power duo, right?
Correct. That's how they started. And actually, when I was living in Vermont there too, I worked as a security guard and then moved up to production manager of this venue there called Nectar's. So I was seeing a lot of bands, and there was a band there playing at the time called Dopapod, which was a piano player and a drummer. And so I was kind of like, oh, these guys are great. The pianist his name was Eli as well. So we immediately hit it off. And I kind of like at that time was like, yo, if this ever comes, will you guys make music? And they always said they would. So I hold you to that, Dopapod. But as the band grew and as I brought it back, I added a saxophone player named Cole, who is a steam powered Android sax player with a sort of metal beard that looks like the front of a train. It's kind of like Coltrane, not a thinly veiled Coltrane reference. And their bass player named Rock, who's a giraffe. I also tour managed a band for a couple national tours called Roots of Creation, and they had a song that I loved called Giraffe. So it was just naturally that R.O.C., his name stands for Roots of Creation, and the giraffe. That was pretty easy.
Right. I remember as a boy reading a young adult novel about a girl who joined with a band called the Giraffes, called "Why Not Join the Giraffes?" So,
Oh, cool.
and okay, it's kind of funny that you started your comic in music, because I didn't get into comics until I was like in my 30s, and I had just come out of my rock and roll phase, and my best and last hope at making a good band had fallen apart, because holding a band together is harder than keeping a marriage together, and the makeup sex isn't as good. And but basically Asphalt Blue, once the band broke up, I immediately started doing a comic strip called Zinc Alloy and the Element of Surprise, and it was a thinly veiled autobiographical version of what I had just gone through with the band. So it was so music and comics go together very well, and I think that's something we both share. And you talked about liking music, and I think it would be remiss if we didn't mention that the late great Armando Chick Corea has just passed away, and I noticed that you had made some posts about that. Tell us what is your relationship to Korea, and what turned you on to Korea, and what did you dig about Korea?
I've always kind of gravitated toward like the avant-garde, or away from like normal pop, I guess you would say. I don't know. My mother turned me on to John Coltrane's "A Love Supreme" when I was like a teenager, so that kind of like pushed me outside of the boundaries. And then as I started getting a little bit older, I started learning about Return to Forever, and so these more prog, more electric jazz groups, and of course continuing with Miles and Chick's work with Miles. And then recently we got to see, I think I've seen Chick 3 times. I got to see Zappa Plays Zappa and Return to Forever, which was it's an insane show. One of the videos I posted is I took a video of Chick joining Zappa Plays Zappa for King Kong, which is has an amazing solo, and they kind of just like wheeled out this little mini Moog that he was just like, and then I got to see a duo of Chick Corea and Bela Fleck, which was just electric band or acoustic banjo and piano, which was absolutely gorgeous, amazing show. And then I got to see the Chick Corea electric band with my parents and my girlfriend. And actually, it was kind of crazy. At that show, Garrett Morris from the original Not Ready for Primetime Players was sitting right in front of us. And, he kind of just started talking to us, and he was like, I don't have my phone. Can I use your phone? Like, to call my daughter. And so he used my phone. We hung out all night. We took photos together. And so that was an amazing night. And just seeing Chick there at this small jazz club here in LA, just amazing. So his piano playing fuses that love that I have of like synth as well as like acoustic beauty. And he was amazing.
Yeah, when it comes to mini Moog players, I don't think anyone can cut Chick. I put
No.
him really high up when it comes to specifically the mini Moog. But he's a great piano player, acoustic piano player. I once saw him in a duet concert with Herbie Hancock.
Oh my gosh.
And the Herbie Hancock and Chick. And they both played solo, but then they got together for duos. And, they're friends. They both played with Miles, and you could tell that they were trying to cut each other all night long. And it was just so great. And
yeah.
I also caught the Music Magic tour of Return to Forever, which was the big band when they had a horn section. It wasn't the power quartet. There was no guitar, and Lenny White wasn't the drummer, I don't believe, but Stanley Clarke and Chick were there, and they had horn player Joe Farrell. A lot of people don't remember, they remember that quartet, but they forget that the early Return to Forever was basically Chick with Airto and Flora Purim. And so, he introduced Flora to a wider audience. And I've seen Flora a lot, and my brother went to Brazil and married a Brazilian girl in part because of all that. So, this all definitely had an effect upon my life. And, but I just wanted to, I know you and I have similar interests in music and comics. So I just wanted to touch that. But we must now pause for yet another moment of Payne's Black history.
Madam C.J. Walker was an inventor, political activist, entrepreneur, and philanthropist. She was born in 1867 to Mississippi sharecroppers. She became America's first Black female millionaire through creating and marketing hair care products for Black women. She gave financial support to groups ranging from the YWCA to the NAACP and was a vocal and sought-after participant in civil rights protests and petitions.
Thank you, Dalzabel. Now, I think the question on everybody's mind is, what the fuck? Okay. Explain this to us. Can you, Eli? How the heck you wind up in a Mike Allred comic?
That was so cool. I got to tell you, it stemmed from the interview that I did in Wizard, my comics magazine that I edited with the kayfabe audience. I did a really intense interview with Han Allred, Mike's son. It's like I didn't know what I was really getting into. I didn't know what his movie was about. I didn't realize that it was about these, super psychedelic, introspective kind of like trips that his dad goes on through, and so I had planned these questions, and once we started talking and he started getting into all this stuff, the entire interview basically went out the window, and we had this super intense, heady conversation about, you know, life and all this stuff. And so we kind of bonded there a little bit. And so when Han launched his Kickstarter for the Space Face movie that he's making about his dad and these introspective trips that he goes on, you know, I backed it and I helped support it at a level where it was, you know, be in the comic. And so it was the almighty dollar that got me into the comic. You know, I don't want to front too much, but still, I think that you bought into the comic, but you didn't know what you were going to get, you know. And I not only got in a few places, I got a line, so I'm more than just an extra. So I guess that you know, I would get paid scale if it was a movie role.
Correct. I was an extra in Light of Day, and I only got the $50 per diem for being an extra. But had they given me a speaking line, they would have upped my pay considerable. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is the girl behind you anyone special, or am I just imagining that?
I mean, maybe. I didn't even think of that. It does look like my lady.
I thought so. So I wasn't going to put it there, but if not, it's a happy coincidence there.
Yeah,
so.
Very.
And that's very cool. I mean, you're in posterity, and what's the name of that comic? X-Ray Bot?
X-Ray Robot, yeah.
X-Ray Robot, yeah. So that's super cool. Okay, now at the beginning, before I introduced you, I showed this clip that from about 10 years ago of you in a zombie movie trailer. Tell us what the heck that was about.
I haven't seen that in a long time. Now, that was when we were at film school. I went to actually school for entertainment business at Full Sail University down in Florida. In Orlando, Florida. And once I got there, I kind of befriended, you know, I kind of realized that, like, dang, man, I should have gone for film. This is what I'm interested in. So I befriended all the film students, and that's where I met my girlfriend. She was an editor and producer in the film school stuff there. And so I just was like, I want to be in all these movies. I'm going to try out for every single movie. And this one director, the guy who directed that, Hadid, he liked me, thought I was funny and stuff. And so he wrote this movie around me. And that was a trailer that I made from some of the cuts with music by Sound of Urchin, who is a favorite band of mine. They let me use their whole album for whatever we needed. And I mean, it was super fun. There's those scenes. I fired a real shotgun into this dummy. They built this head. Shay was in it. Tanisha was in it. She was my girlfriend in the movie too. And, you know, we got in a fight, and she turned into a zombie, and they built this whole thing with tubes and pumps, and I had to like smash this head with a pot, and it sprayed blood all over me. And, you know, we shot it out of order. We shot the first day outside with all these extras on, like, at the film school, there's a back lot. Everything you see outside the gas station is all back lot. And, you know, so I ran around all day. I was all hyped up. I didn't really eat. And so the second day, I was so sore. It's so funny. I feel like I move like a robot when I'm doing all that inside. But man, it was insane when I was doing that, smashing the head with the pot scene. I had one of those, you know, acting moments where you like lose track and you like don't know where you are and everything. You know, so it was just a really fun experience. Unfortunately, the movie never really got out or anything. I think it showed at a few film festivals or something, because I have an IMDb page from it now. But I would really love to get that final copy, because it was cool. There was like a switch at the end where you find out that he's kind of like went crazy, and that there wasn't really a zombie apocalypse, and the dude went on this killing spree and all this stuff. So it was a pretty fun.
It's all in his head.
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty good. I just had to show that when I stumbled upon it. Much like the picture in X-Ray Robot, it was kind of like, okay, you got to explain this. Okay, I like to keep these shows about half an hour, and we're about that point. So what else am I missing about you that you need to tell us, that you want everyone to know, or whatever? Anything you want to say at this moment, the floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. I think I live my life pretty out there on Facebook, but one of my big passions right now are podcasting and publishing comics. I got 3 podcasts that I try to keep up with: Cosmic Lion Radio, my original one, a mixtape and interview podcast where I interview creative people and then talk about their music loves and create a mixtape with them. Can I Flip It with hip hop artist Menace. We talk about comics, and mostly he loves Spider-Man, so we've been focusing a lot on the King in Black saga, which is just fun. It's just mindless fun. And then the Grendel podcast, The Devil in Detail, and here's a super big, we haven't told anyone this, but next Friday, a week from today, we'll be doing an interview with Matt Wagner, Diana Schutz, Tim Sale, and Teddy Christensen about their work in Grendel and the Devil Child 2-issue miniseries that Diana Schutz wrote. That's going to be huge. I cannot wait for that. I'm working on more Monkey Lion. I'm working on Wizard 2. I'm trying to publish this Image Grand Design. We'll see what happens with that. And just, I can't stop and I won't stop, no matter how much stress it causes.
Well, as the shirt says, Eli is a force to be reckoned with. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight.
Happy to be here, Brian and Sky. Okay. Great to meet you finally.
We'll do this again sometime. I sure hope so. But until next time, everyone, thank Zinc.